to Twin Cities Live. If you set a New Year's resolution right now, chances are you're trying to prove to yourself that you can keep it.
Yes, and if you challenged yourself to eat healthier, good news, it doesn't have to be boring or bland. We have 3 protein-packed meals that don't come in powder form.
That's good.
This makes me happy. This is real food.
We welcome our friend Becky Church from the Minnesota Beef Council. I like the idea, Becky, that if we're trying to eat strategically and eat good for our bodies, it doesn't have to be boring. We can have a little fun.
No boring foods with beef. We're here to make it fun.
Oh, good. And we're starting with meatballs and a sheet pan dinner, which just makes me so happy because if you haven't been embracing the sheet pan dinner, it is life-changing.
It's life-changing.
It's life-changing.
And in short, it just really means like legit. Everything goes on one sheet pan and then into the
Throw
oven
it
we
in.
go.
Yep.
I've never done it with meatballs though before. I want to know about this.
Yeah, so I started with just a basic blend of beef at 80% lean because we don't have a sauce, so we kind of want a little bit of that extra fat to keep them together, just like you would with a burger. And then I added simple ingredients like fresh parsley, minced garlic, some salt and pepper, really any spices you want right into the beef, and then use a cookie scoop to keep things clean and making the protein.
And you don't want them to be giant. Yeah, you want them to be like a little bit smaller. So am I doing something with this?
So then, that's the first part is the meatballs we're talking about.
Okay.
And then for a sheet pan, you can add any veggies you have. So I love using seasonal vegetables. Here I just have bell peppers and then some squash with olive oil and spices. And I like to throw them right into a gallon bag, shake and bake.
So this is great because you could prep the veggies, have them all ready to go the day before, have them in the bag. And there is something, boys, remember Shake and Bake? How wonderful.
Yes.
My parents would never buy Shake and Bake. It was too expensive, and my mom was like, you can just make that. That's too expensive.
Oh, man. My mom was always cutting corners. We got Shake and Bake all the time.
You had it all the time.
So now we've got that. You can just spread it evenly onto your sheet pan. I recommend a pro tip of using parchment paper.
I'm with you there, girl.
Super easy cleanup.
Yes, and then you just bake it, and this is what you end up with. Okay, I'm going to try this.
Well, how
I'm just going to
delightful
pick up a
this
little
is.
meatball.
So here I added sweet potatoes too. If you want to make it, add a complex carb, you can easily do it. Even in the meatball, some tips, you could add in some shredded zucchini or switch out breadcrumbs for
you can
whole
load whatever you
oats.
want in there.
Yeah, really versatile.
And then boom, parchment paper, it's in the trash, and you're done.
And make
You're
extra
ready.
of these, and you can take them to lunch the next day, even convert them to, flatbread or use them in spaghetti. Really
so
easy.
good. You know what I've done too, Becky, that you might like, is cooked quinoa in your meatball mixture too. And then you get protein too, and it's like an alternative to the breadcrumb.
And you probably don't even taste at all the texture.
It's really yummy. Okay, I love that. That's a fabulous idea.
Now we move on to a pasta dish. What's going on here? What kind of meat are we working with?
Beef pasta Primavera.
Yes.
Pretty much a glorified, healthier version of Hamburger Helper, which I think is kind of where my roots start in the kitchen, to be honest.
That's how we all started.
So how we start here is we just have some ground beef simmering on the stove. I've already browned that.
Yeah.
And we're going 96% lean today.
Okay.
So really easy. You can add beef broth.
Okay. And these are super high protein meals. Becky and I were talking during the commercial break about how I've been reading a lot about how women in particular don't realize that we are not getting enough protein.
Yeah.
And if you start like really adding it up in your diet, you go, oh my gosh.
Shoot. Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening if you actually realize that you're really under your protein
And if you're
levels.
not a person who always wants to do like I'm just not as much of a bar or a shake person as I am a food person.
The best thing is we have real food here, 1 ingredient beef. You really can't beat it.
Easy to go. Okay.
So then we're adding everything at once. So we have zucchini, we have a can of diced tomatoes.
Wait, you're adding the pasta
1 cup
too?
of pasta uncooked. Go ahead.
Do it.
Yeah.
She told you.
Okay.
Yeah, just
All
listen
Do
to her.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's this seasoning?
We have some Italian seasoning and garlic.
Oh my gosh.
We're just adding
wonderful.
that.
And then the veggies too?
And the veggies can go right in too. So this is what's great. You can add it all in, walk away for a little bit.
Yeah.
In fact, for 10 minutes, you'll keep this covered on the stove and just let it cook away.
No way.
Yep.
Lady.
That's easy breezy.
All right, well,
It's
let's
so
put you to the
perfect.
test.
Both of these first 2 meals, nice and easy that you can do, and that's key, especially if you're trying to eat smarter, eat more intentionally. It's good when it doesn't require so much effort where you feel like, can I keep this up over the long haul?
And there's so many easy ways to swap out. If you don't like squash or zucchini, swap out the veggie and make it work for you.
I don't know. You know what? I'm not that big of a zucchini and squash person, and I think it's great.
I'm
like,
with you, Elizabeth.
Really, really good. It doesn't get overcooked at all. It's got like a nice bite to it.
Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Let's now talk about this Greek
got you
beef
covered.
salad that
You're
I'm
eating?
currently
Do you eat a head
testing.
on every one?
Just so I am well researched. This is really good. What kind of meat are we working with?
We're working with this sirloin steak here, which I love because sirloin is so versatile. It's at an affordable price. You could also use a flank steak, which is going to be thinner, a little bit faster in cooking.
I love flank steak.
But also lean. Both are lean cuts.
Okay, so when they're lean cuts, like what I do with flank steak is I always want to cook it kind of fast. I don't want it to get too like overdone.
A great point. So You know, this time of year when we're talking about the blizzard coming too, it's a little bit harder to access our grills outside, but I like to pan sear it right at home. So cast iron works really well.
So good.
To sear, you're just going at high heat. So, you know, slapping both sides on a high heat and then cooking to a 145 internal temperature if you want it medium rare.
So you do one of these, and then Becky, do you think like, because you know you're not serving that much of it in this salad, which looks fabulous by the way, and then you have a bunch sliced up and it's ready to go?
Yeah, exactly. You could use it for fajitas, you know, salad like I showed today, any wraps, flatbreads even. It's really, really easy to
Gosh, I'm in meal prepping madness right now.
Really?
I mean, I'm so into meal prepping right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And then you're just munching on some homemade pita chips.
Those homemade
are
pita
easy
chips
too.
are really, really something. But this steak is really fantastic.
Good.
And that's good. It's worth noting too that when you're dealing with like a steak like this or a flank steak, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
more red is okay. That's how you want to roll.
Especially if you're wanting to reheat. A lot of people complain when it comes to protein as far as having to reheat it and not loving how it recooks.
Oh, you cook this perfectly.
So just perfect.
Go lower, take it off earlier, and then it's ready to go. Becky?
And another tip too for different flavors, if you want to do a marinade, you could. Otherwise, just a salt and pepper rub works perfect.
You're
too.
so great. Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
Becky.
These
We
were really
appreciate
good
that.
recipes. So we've got all these recipes and more free dinner ideas from the Minnesota Beef Council. Go to mnbeef.org, and a big thanks to the Beef Council for sponsoring our show. So delicious.
We are not quite done.